In this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to make the Sharma shawl. This shawl is part of a larger collection called the Sharma collection. However, it is available individually as well. You can find this pattern for free on my blog, and it's also available as a premium PDF, which you can purchase. This video is designed to go alongside the written patterns, so do make sure that you take a look in the description box so that you can get all of that information and you can use that pattern to work alongside this video. For this pattern, I have used King Cole Cotton Soft DK. I'm going to be using the shade Iris in this video, but for the actual pattern itself, I've used the shade Ecru. This range comes in some really lovely colours, so make sure that you do check it out. I'm going to be using a 4mm and a 4.5mm crochet hook. You will need a pair of scissors and a darning needle for sewing in your ends. You might want to grab yourself a stitch marker, and you'll also need a tape measure as well for checking your gauge. So in this video, I'm going to be first showing you how to do your gauge swatch so you can check your gauge. Within this, I'll show you how to measure and how to work out if you need to change your hook sizes for your personal tension. And then you can use the gauge swatch instructions for making the whole item, because we are going to be using the same stitch pattern. And I'll advise you of how many chains you need to do to get started. So as a reminder, I've left everything in the description box. Make sure you go and check that out. Grab everything that you need and let's get started. So for this swatch, I'm going to use the lilac yarn just so you get a better view of the stitches, but I highly recommend that you do your swatch just so that we can make sure that our tension is correct. If the tension is not correct, then we're going to need to make adjustments with our hook size in order for the finished garment to fit correctly and to the size that you want it to be. So we're going to go ahead and create our slip knot, and you can do this in whichever method you prefer. And we're going to be using a 4mm hook. Go ahead and insert your crochet hook. And for the swatch, we're going to chain 35. So that's yarn over, pull through, that's 1, yarn over, pull through, that's 2, yarn over 3, yarn over 4, yarn over 5. Go ahead, pause the video, work your chain of 35. And then meet me back once you're ready. So now that you've done your chain, we're going to be working into the back bumps of the chain. So we're going to start off with a treble crochet, which is a US double crochet. And we're going to be working into the 4th chain from the hook. So if we turn the chain over, we see these back bumps. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4. You can kind of see them better on the side just here, poking up. So we're going to yarn over, work into that 4th chain, the back bump of that 4th chain. Yarn over, pull through, you'll have 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over, pull through those first 2 loops, you'll have 2 loops on the hook. And then yarn over, pull through those 2 loops on the hook. And we're going to be working 1 treble, which is US double crochet, into the back bump of each chain all the way across. So yarn over, insert into the next chain, yarn over, pull through, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2. So work your way across, working 1 UK treble, which is US double crochet, in the back bump of each stitch or each chain all the way across. So go ahead, pause the video and meet me back once you're ready. So now that you've worked your way across, you should now have 33 stitches, including the turning chain. The missed chains do count as a stitch. And then we're going to move on to doing row 2. So we're going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and turn the work. This chain 5 is going to count as a UK treble, which is US double crochet, and a chain 2. So it's counting as a treble and a chain 2, or US double and a chain 2. And whenever we do a chain 5 throughout the pattern, it's going to class as that. So we're going to skip the next stitch. So at the base of this chain 5, that stitch is taken. We're going to skip the next stitch, and then we're going to double crochet, which is a US single crochet, into that next stitch. So go into the stitch, yarn over, pull through, you'll have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through both loops on your hook. We're then going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We're going to skip 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and then double crochet into that next stitch, which is a US single crochet. And then we're going to repeat that again, so that small section again, until we have 2 stitches remaining. So we're going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When we're doing a chain 5 within the work, it's not counting as that treble crochet, it's just when we do it at the beginning. So we have our chain 5, we skip 3 stitches and then double crochet, which is US single crochet into the next stitch, chain 5, skip 3, 1, 2, 3, and then double crochet, which is US single crochet. So go ahead and repeat that chain 5, skip 3, double crochet all the way across until you have 2 stitches remaining, and then meet me back once you're ready. Okay, so I've just worked my way across. I have 2 stitches remaining, but just remember that one of those stitches is going to be the skip chains. So we have 1 stitch here, and then the next stitch just here. It just looks slightly different, but there are 2 stitches there. We're going to go ahead and chain 2, 1 and 2, and then we're going to work a UK treble crochet, which is a US double crochet, into the top of that turning chain. So we have our stitch here and then our turning chain. Yarn over, go into the top of that turning chain, yarn over, pull through, you'll have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, you'll have 2 loops, and yarn over, pull through 2. And that is the end of row 2. So for row 3, we're going to chain 1 and turn. The chain 1 does not count as a stitch. And then we're going to work a double crochet, which is a US single crochet, into that very first stitch. So into that stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. We're going to skip this first chain space just here, which is technically the chain 2 chain space. And then we're going to work a series of stitches into this next chain 5 space. So we're going to work 3 treble crochets, which is US double crochet. That's 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to chain 1 and work 3 more treble crochets, which is US double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And that is creating our fan or shell in that chain 5 space. We're going to then double crochet, which is US single crochet, into the next chain 5 space, and that anchors that shell down. And then we're going to repeat that again. So we're going to work that series of stitches into the next chain 5 space. So straight into there with a treble crochet, US double, 1, 2, and 3, chain 1, and 3 more trebles, which is US doubles, 1, 2, 3. Anchor that down into the next chain 5 space with a double crochet, US single crochet, and you're going to repeat that pattern, repeat all the way across. So creating those 3 trebles, chain 1, 3 trebles, and then double crochet into the next stitch, which in US terms is 3 doubles, chain 1, 3 doubles, and a single crochet into the next stitch. So go ahead, repeat that all the way across, and then meet me back when you're about to place your last double crochet, because that is going to sit slightly differently at the end just here. So pause the video and meet me back once you're ready. Okay, so this last double crochet of this repeat is going to go into the top of the chain 3. So remember, this chain 5 counts as a treble and a chain 2. So the chain 3 is essentially the top of the treble. So we're going to go into that 3rd chain from the bottom with a double crochet to finish off that row. So now we're going to move on to row 4. And for row 4, we're going to begin by chaining 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and turn the work. This counts as a treble crochet, which is a US double crochet, and a chain 3. So once we've done that chain 6, we're going to skip 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to work our double crochet, which is a US single crochet, into this chain 1 space. So working into that space, and that double crochet is the first of our pattern repeats. So we have double crochet, US single crochet, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, skip 3 stitches, and then this double crochet that's in the center just here, we're going to work a treble crochet into there. So yarn over into that stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. We're going to chain 3, skip 3 stitches, and then the pattern repeat starts again. So double crochet into that chain 1 space, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, skip 3 stitches, and treble crochet into that double crochet from the previous row. So that's a double crochet in US terms into the single crochet from the previous row. Chain 3, skip 3 stitches, and double crochet into the chain 1 space, which is US single crochet, and then chain 3, skip 3 stitches, treble crochet into the double crochet from the previous row, chain 3, double crochet into the chain 1 space, chain 3, and then your final treble crochet, which is your US double crochet, going to go into this last stitch just here. So yarn over into the top of that stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. So we're essentially just creating a bridge all the way across into these chain spaces. So we're now going to move on to row 5. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, turn our work. This chain 3 counts as a treble, which is US double crochet here and throughout. We're going to work 3 trebles into this chain space. 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to work a treble crochet into the next stitch. So it's this double crochet, US single crochet from the previous row, and we're going to repeat that all the way across. So 3 trebles into the chain space, 1, 2, and 3, and treble into the next stitch. In this case, it's the treble from the previous row. And then again, 3 trebles, which is US doubles into the chain space, 2, and 3, and treble, which is US double into the next stitch. So you're going to work that all the way across and then meet me back once you're ready. Okay, I just wanted to join you back for this very last stitch to show you where the stitch placement is going to go. Remember that this one, the chain from the previous row, is a chain 6. So we want to be working into the 3rd chain from the bottom, because that counts as a treble, and we work our final stitch into there. So at this point we want to be repeating this pattern repeat. So you want to go ahead and repeat rows 2 to 5 twice more, and then you'll have your swatch. So go ahead, rewind the video if you need to, repeat rows 2 to 5 twice more, and then meet me back once you're ready. Okay, so now you have your swatch, and the overall swatch will be around 6.5 inches by 5.5 inches, thereabouts. But we want to make sure that we are counting our stitches in the pattern itself. That's why we make our swatch slightly bigger. So we're going to be measuring within a 4-inch square. So we want to make sure, so if I measure along this row here, we want to make sure that we're choosing one of the stitches further away from the edge. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to start at the gap of, or at the end of this stitch, in that gap there, and we want to measure all the way and make sure that it ends at the end of this stitch. And then we want to count and make sure that we have 20 stitches in there. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 and 20. So we have 20 stitches, which is what we want, and we want to have 9 rows. So what I like to do for my rows is actually count it from the top of this row, so the top of the shell, and if we have a think or have a look at where that row ends, it's just up there, and then we want to count the rows. So this is the bottom of this row, which is here. We have 1, and then these chains are the second row, so that's 2, 3, these chains are 4, 5, which is the shells, chains, which is 6, we have a row, which is 7, more chains, which is 8, and then shells, which is 9. So we have 9 rows and 20 stitches, so my gauge is correct. Now if you find that you have too many stitches, then you will want to go up either half a hook size or a full hook size. I would recommend that you do your swatch again just to make sure that that is working correctly. If you have not enough stitches, then you will want to go down half a hook size or a full hook size. So have a play around with your swatch. You want to make sure that you are getting the right amount of stitches. If your rows are off, then I highly recommend that you watch this video just here, which is all about the golden loop and how to adjust the height of your stitches. So once you know which hook size that you're using, make a note of those. So I'm using the 4mm, and then I'm going to go up half a hook size for some of the stitches. So we have 4 and 4.5. If you need to go down half a hook size or a full hook size, just make sure that whatever your smallest size is, you have half a hook size bigger for your other hook. So now that your gauge swatch is complete, we're ready to move on and create the shawl itself. So for the shawl, what you're going to be doing is exactly the same stitch pattern, but your very first chain is going to be a chain of 99. And then once you've done your first row, you're going to end up with a stitch count of 97. So go ahead and pause the video, work this, use the written pattern to help you through, but you're going to be doing 141 rows in total. And then once you finish, you want to come back and I'm going to show you how to add your border. So now that your work is completed, obviously it's going to be much bigger than what this is. We're going to go ahead and add the border. So for this, you want to use your larger hook. So for me, this is the 4.5mm crochet hook, and you want to insert your hook into your working loop. And we're going to turn our work at this point as instructed for the final row, and we're going to chain 1. This chain 1 does not count as a stitch. Now we're going to do 1 double crochet in each stitch all the way across. So that's a UK double crochet and a US single crochet. We're going to go into that first stitch, yarn over, pull through. We'll have 2 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through both loops on the hook. And you're simply going to work 1 double crochet in each stitch all the way across. I would recommend that you pop a stitch marker into your very first stitch, just so you're clear on where that is. So go ahead, pause the video, work your way across this row, and then meet me back once you're ready. So now that we've worked our way across, we're going to go ahead and chain 1 and rotate the work so that we're working down the row ends. And what we're going to do here is we're going to do 2 double crochets in each treble row end. So we have this treble row end here, this is a treble in the chain space. At the end of here we have a double crochet. We're going to skip that and then treble into work 2 double crochets into the next. We have treble here, here, skip, here, 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 skip, here and here. So let me just show you what that looks like. So we have our first treble row end here. We're going to work 2 of those double crochets, which is US single crochets, into that row end, move to the next and work 2 into there, move, skip this shell row end just here, and then work 2 into the next stitch, 2 into the next row end, and into the next, and then skip the shell row end and work into the next. So just 2 stitches in each of those treble crochet, US double crochet row ends, all the way until you get across your work. So you're just simply skipping this row end here where the shells are. So go ahead, pause the video, work your way across, then meet me back once you're ready. Okay, so once you've worked your way across, you're going to chain one and rotate the work again so that we're working on the underside of the foundation chain. So remember, we've already worked around this very first stitch, which is actually the skipped chains from the foundation row. So what we want to do is find the top of that chain and then work our first stitch into there. And then we want to find the base of the stitches of the next stitch across, and then the base of the next stitch across. Now, because we worked our foundation chain into the back bump, we're going to have those 2 loops to be able to go into on the underside of this foundation chain. So it might just require a little bit of a push through to get into them, but you should be able to get under both loops of that foundation chain. So work 1 double crochet, US single crochet into the underside of the chain in each stitch all the way across, and then meet me back once you're ready. So now you've worked your way across the underside of the foundation chain, you're going to chain 1 and then again find the first row end and work 2 stitches into there. Find the next row end and work 2 stitches, and continue to work your way across just as you did the other side. So work your way to the last row end, do 2 stitches in there, come back and I'll show you how to finish off this round. Okay, so I've just worked my way across. I'm going to chain 1 and then I'm going to join with a slip stitch into that very first stitch. And then I'm going to turn the work. So for row 2, we're going to chain 1 and we're going to be working a half treble slip stitch, which is a half double slip stitch in US terms. And the first stitch that we're going to be working into is actually this corner chain 1 space. So we're going to yarn over, go into that chain 1 space, yarn over, pull through, you'll have 3 loops on the hook. And then instead of yarning over and pulling through like a half treble or a half double in US terms, we're actually going to pull this first loop through the next 2 loops. Now, it's extremely difficult to pull through when you have your hook like this. So what I like to do is actually turn my hook backwards and then grab it and pull it through like so. We're going to chain 1 and then do another half treble slip stitch into that same chain 1 space. So remember, pulling that first loop through the next 2 loops, and then we have created our corner just here. So we want to find that very first stitch and pop a stitch marker in there so that we know where we're working, and we're simply going to be working one of these half treble slip stitches into each stitch all the way around, and then also working the corner stitches. So I'm going to go ahead and work those half treble slip stitch, half double slip stitch in US terms all the way to that next chain 1 space, and I'll show you again how to work your corner stitches. So I've just worked my way across. Here is my chain 1 space, and I'm going to work a half treble slip stitch, a chain 1 and a half treble slip stitch into that same corner space, that same chain 1 space. Now, if you do struggle with finding where that corner is, you could go ahead and pop some stitch markers in all 4 of your corners. That might help with your next round. But if not, we can just go ahead and start doing 1 stitch into each stitch all the way around. So you're going to work across the bottom, work that half treble, chain 1, half treble into the chain 1 space, work your way across, work your corner, and then work your way across again to this very last stitch. So go ahead, pause the video, work that all the way around, and then meet me back once you're ready. So now you've worked your way around, we're going to remove this stitch marker from that very first stitch and join with a slip stitch and turn the work. We can chain 1, and we're going to do exactly the same thing in this final round. We're going to half treble slip stitch all the way to the chain 1 space, work our corner, which is half treble slip stitch, chain 1, half treble slip stitch, and then 1 stitch all the way across, work your corner, all the way across, work your corner, and all the way across and work your corner before joining with a slip stitch to that very first stitch. So go ahead, pause the video, work that all the way round exactly the same as previous, and then meet me back once you're ready. So now that you have gone all the way around, all that will be left to do is fasten off and sew in your ends, and then you will have completed your border for your shawl. Now if you want to at this point, you can go ahead and give it a block. I would recommend that you steam block it just to make sure that it's sat in the right shape, and then you will have finished your Sharma shawl. So remember, this is part of a larger collection. You can go and check out the other things within the Sharma collection. All of the links are in the description box below. If you have completed yours or you're halfway through, please make sure that you share with me on social media. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel, and if you like this video then you might also like this one too.